between the last time we talked and now, I'm sure it's been definitely a new evolution of Dan Brodie, a new iteration maybe.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I've got the new spoken word record out. That's the broadest possible term I can think of it, but a lot of people that I play it to say that that's kind of unclassifiable, which is nice. I think it's a mixture of poetry and memoir, but it's also coming from very much from a sort of a rock and roll place when I perform it. So I guess it's probably one of the most purest things that I've done. It started off as a memoir, but I found that it's a bit too confronting. So for whatever reason, I can't remember, because it was recorded at the end of 2020, most of it. And I'm not sure exactly why I recorded it, because I don't have anything written down. It was during our Melbourne's lockdown period, which went for off and on for about 3 years. We had some of the most strictest conditions in the world. So everyone went a bit batshit crazy. You couldn't leave yet. Couldn't leave. You're only 5 kilometre radius around your house. So everyone was just walking in circles, literally, which is what I was doing too. But I was making up stories, which became this album.
Yeah, I now recall you alluded to this project, or maybe the origins of it, on our last episode together.
Yeah. Well, I've been talking about it for long enough. I think my friends are relieved that I finally got it out, so they don't have to hear about it anymore.
Well, those of you listening, once again, thanks for checking out the Dan Time podcast, either the YouTube version or on your Spotify, Apple, iHeart podcasts, etc. Dan Brodie, as you know, a favorite of mine, one of the original songwriters, singer-songwriters that I've featured here on Dan Time. And as with a lot of guests, I usually, if I have had a great conversation at the end, I'll say, let's connect again sometime. And, it's not just lip service. I really enjoy welcoming some of these artists back on, and especially somebody of Dan Brodie's character and caliber. Suburban Dreaming is the name of the record, available wherever you guys listen to music or download music. In the show notes for this episode, you'll be able to access and follow Dan on social media. Go to his website, which will also lead you to the store section of the site, where I don't want to speak ahead, but is the LP version, the vinyl or CD version of Suburban Dreaming available right now?
Yeah, it's all just digital at the moment. I will probably do some physical form. I actually hope to release a book, so people will be able to buy the book and get the digital. So that's what my plan is at the moment.
Dan, I have been locked into this record. And
have you? Thank you.
Yes, it's if I could say one word, that's always the challenge. And I like kind of those adjective challenges. You know, if you could say one word to describe something. For me, it's gripping. It really pulls you in, especially if any of the things, the topics and the themes and the subject matter being addressed, if just any one of them speaks to you in your life or your past, you're going to perk up very quickly. Suburban Dreaming, the title track, starts off the album. And at the very beginning, Dan, I'm thinking, and it's only a few seconds where you kind of get lulled into, this is nice, this is relaxing. Whoa, then the dogs start, it's birds chirping, then the dogs barking, and then before you know it, you're kind of in this frantic pace of this, just all these swirling events, which may be reminiscent of anybody's hometown. A lot of the mundane, and then a lot of the just bizarre and crazy. And I took some notes here, which I love how you tie all this together. Woolworths, Donut King, bakery, a doctor, a dentist, family getting their teeth cleaned. But then you also point out a husband staring, a wife trembling. Dan, I'd love to talk about all the tracks on this album, but can you walk me through this one and how it came to materialize?
Yeah, that was one of the first ones that I wrote, and it's mostly true that it's just me observing things around the neighborhood on a walk. But I think, there's a lot going on in that track. I'm also alluding to, Australia. I'm sure the States is the same. Australia is one of the highest domestic violence rates of killing women in the world, and it's a huge problem in Australia, and it doesn't seem to be stopping anytime soon. So I felt like I'm addressing that with that line that you mentioned. And we have lots of issues with mental illness, of course, like everywhere. I think that in the suburbs, particularly, a lot of this stuff gets pushed behind doors and behind fences and walls, and nobody talks about it until someone winds up dead, and everyone goes, "Well, I don't know what." On the news, everyone says the same thing. It was such a quiet neighborhood. Well, who gives a shit?
Yes,
that makes all the more reason why that these things can happen, because we don't discuss them. So I felt like I wanted to explore that side of our society that people don't really talk about in song.
Dan, do you also? I feel like I'm in tune to these sort of happenings as they're happening at the exact same moment. I'm sure you probably are too, where you might be traveling and you see a car accident, and maybe people are standing outside their vehicles, and some of them appear to be okay. Maybe somebody is hurt, and then within another block, you're coming up on an ice cream shop, and everyone's having a great time, and they're within, 500 feet of each other, and someone's having a very, very traumatic experience. The other person's licking an ice cream cone, or just the homeless situation outside of a fine dining establishment, or steps away. It's just really the juxtaposition of those events. Are you always in tune to that sort of stuff?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, maybe a bit too much.
Yes.
Yeah,
I agree. From my perspective as well. Yeah.
Yeah. I read a lot of stuff. I read a lot of Buddhist texts these days, and try and settle my mind. And the Buddhists seem to be all about almost this self delusion, that you almost talk yourself into a good frame of mind. So I'm always battling that versus, I guess, a more natural tendency from years of habit of maybe going down a path in my mind that I shouldn't. And I've learnt to try and balance it a little bit. And the beauty of art, music, acting, painting is that you hopefully funnel it into that, and then you can go and enjoy your day.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Because you don't want to walk around with all that stuff in your head all the time. But on your point about the car accident and the ice cream shop, I mean, I loved reading Bob Dylan's recent thing of his essay on being in his 80s now, and he said he's completely given up the illusion of there being him having any control over his life. I thought that was a really beautiful way of looking at it.
Oh,
I mean, you do have to give up control. I mean, you have to give up the ego. You have to give up that sense of self. Long before you actually leave the earth. I think it's a nice way to be, and subsume yourself into society, be part of the community, care about the community. That's important to me these days, I guess, and that's come from being older, of course. I certainly wasn't like that. When I was younger. I was, like any other young guy.
A couple of singles predated the release of this record, Everything Apart From Her, which I think on the album version, it's Everything Apart From Her Stopped Existing. I noticed, I think on the single, it was shortened.
That was a mistake. And I just realized yesterday, and I looked it up and I went, hold on, these are different titles. And considering the total lack of sleep I had getting this record out, and I mean, I must have mixed it and mastered it at least 100 times. I mean, it got to the point where my family were concerned about me. I wouldn't leave my room. So the fact that only out of the whole thing, that's the main thing that I remember that I've messed up, is that I changed the title. So that's fine by me.
That song.
That was an accident.
A happy accident.
Yeah.
And Love for a Cruel Beauty, the two singles from this record. But I like the themes on here, definitely in Everything Apart From Her Stopped Existing, of returning to dust and the becoming the new molecules for new love to reform. You guys will have to listen to the track to follow along with what I'm talking about. But I would like to make Everything Apart From Her Stopped Existing my alarm music, my wake up music. Just a beautiful string of notes there that carry through that story of love and or early love. We've all been there before, with the legs under the table intertwined, staring into each other's eyes, maybe reaching your arms across that cafe table and holding hands. Such a beautiful song, Dan.
Thank you. I mean, a lot of credit for that. The music has to go to my friend, a producer called Michael Hubbard, and he released his music under a banner called Silver Wing. And I heard that song and it totally touched me. And I asked him if he would mind if I added some words to it. So, yeah, that's how that came about. And so that was very, very generous of him to let me do that. And then I made a video as well using footage of women surfing from, I think it was from New York, but I didn't know there was many beaches in New York. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's Rockaway Beach, is it? I don't know.
But yeah, that description of everything kind of falling away, melting away, crumbling. The only thing that matters is you and that other being and the love that you have, or the idea that you have that you're in love with each other. Yeah, I really love that track, and that was what I was very excited about the release of this album, to see what complements that song. And it's just a beautiful collection, Dan, of material. Like I Return to the Park. I don't know how much of this is actually what happened to you.
I mean, I'd say, yeah, over 95%. I mean, a lot of it's true. Most of it's true, actually. Remember the piece Return to the Park. I wasn't sure whether to put that on, because that's all true. And it was about my mother. I lost my mother when I was a teenager to cancer, and, greatly affected me, as it would. And over lockdown, yeah, I was drawn to one of the last times I was kind of with her before she was bedbound, which was a big park near where I live called Gels Park. And I walked around, and it was very strong feelings and reflection, and also rode the bike around all the streets where I grew up. And as you know, when you go back to these places, everything just feels so small. And also I just find memory so interesting that it only exists in your mind. I mean, nobody lives there anymore that you know, so it might as well never have happened, but it certainly happened to you. So I just find memory so powerful.
Yeah, I connected with that, especially with what you just said about memories. You want to hold on to those so tightly, but you don't know how, when there's 3 or 4 decades have passed, is that actually what happened? Or, because you don't have a Polaroid, you don't have obviously a cell phone picture or video or recording, but Dan, that must have been a major turning point in your life, being not quite 20 years old and losing your mother. And it sounds like, because I know her name comes up a few times on this record, she was a very big part of your life. Excuse me. And
yeah,
what was that like at that time period, and where do you turn from there?
It was horrifying is the word I can use, because she had cancer for 5 years. So it's a long period of time to watch someone's decline. That was the same years that I was a teenager. So it was it pushed me to work really hard, at music and at school and all those sort of things, quite in an extreme sense. And that behaviour carried on then for years after, in a way, trying to prove that trying to make it not happen or something. I don't know. We'd have to talk to my therapist about that, but who I don't have. But and it's only decades later that I realised that I didn't need to do all that. I could have just maybe been a bit happier in my own skin. But that takes a long time, as we all know, to get to that point in your life. Hopefully everyone gets to that point, sense of calmness inside rather than turmoil and blaming yourself for something that's out of your hands.
It sounds like, and I just have to pull pieces here, but from Don't Meet Your Heroes, that your mother was probably in tune to the fact that she's got a very creative child, and Did she nurture your interest and your creativity? It sounds like she maybe tried to put you in places where you might benefit from meeting somebody, or
Well, my dad was a musician. He certainly they encouraged equal parts music and academia. My dad, as a musician, knew how hard it was financially, and also I always really liked school. I enjoyed learning things. As rebellious as I was, I mean, I got kicked out and stuff, and a whole bunch of things. I was always kicking against authority. I just enjoyed doing that. I mean, I was even kicking against my parents constantly, who were lovely people, but some people are just born risk takers, and that was me. So, no, I think they encouraged it. They certainly would wait outside venues at 1 a.m. in these seedy parts of Melbourne for us to finish playing before we had our car licenses. And, in alleyways with broken glass and people fighting, and we'd be putting all the equipment into the car. So, they were pretty good parents in that respect.
When you released, and I do want to draw attention to this for my listeners, there are a couple records that are not yet available on your streaming service, wherever you all download music. And I believe that's the first 2 Capitol releases, Empty Arms, Broken Hearts, and Beautiful Crimes. Can people find those on CD? Or is that the only format?
Well, I think that Empty Arms, Broken Hearts is on streaming services. It's under the title Dan Brodie and the Broken Arrows.
That's it.
Yeah, but maybe there is a couple that aren't on there. And part of the issue was that I was with a major label, and when I did try and get the record up there, there was copyright protection. So that's actually something that I need to track down the label people, and because I think that it should all be there. The first album I own the rights to anyway. So
the Big Black Guitar.
Big Black Guitar. Yeah, that's one of my favorites, being the first. I've got a soft spot for that record. So yeah, thanks for the reminder. I do need to get those on to platforms, and people have been asking for vinyl releases too. So that'll happen eventually. I just get distracted easily.
But a good place to start, folks, is if you only search Dan Brodie, the solo artist, you should be able to pull up, going back to Deep, Deep Love, then Lost Not Found, then Funeraria Diwali, and then Ballad of Cowboy Dan, and of course this latest release, Suburban Dreaming. And then if you add in with the Broken Arrows, or just search Dan Brodie Broken Arrows, you can find those other releases. There's also Run Yourself Ragged from 2014 with the Grieving Widows. I'll list all this out, but just curious, Dan, because I know with a lot of artists whose career spans 25 going on 30 years, there might be those 1 or 2 rare releases. Like I think My Friend the Murderer may not be, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that one not widely accessible?
Yeah, that one needs to get up there. That was the Grieving Dan Brodie and the Grieving Widows, and that record was the first time that I was trying to explore aspects of Australian society and maybe the darker elements of it. Which I do like that record. I feel like that the latest project is a much more thorough exploration of that. And as I was saying to a friend recently, doing the spoken word or poetry, or whatever it is that I'm doing now, it's because it's not in song form that allows you to tell a bigger story. Mm-hmm. You're not confined by verses and choruses. Yeah.
And locally there, regionally, I believe, or I would imagine a lot of your fans, even though this is a stark contrast from the Ballad of Cowboy Dan, I would imagine your fans are ready for anything. They're not going to hear something like Suburban Dreaming and thinking, oh, what's going on here, Dan? Why? I was expecting the follow-up to the Ballad of Cowboy Dan. Give me some more Losing Love is Dangerous. What's going on here, Dan? They're probably not reacting that way, right? I mean, I was very happy to see the kind of polar opposite style to the last record. And I try to treat most of my favorite artists that way, and almost be excited and hopefully anticipate each new record to have its own identity.
Yeah, you'd like to think so. you got to keep it interesting for yourself. I mean, I think I've got some pretty patient fans. Yeah, I did a launch about a week ago actually for it, and it went great. It was really intense. I mean, and I got a friend to do all the sampling from the record, and he was great. And another friend, Katie, she did the girl's voice. So
Yeah, I meant to highlight or ask who the female voice is on the opening track and throughout the record.
yeah, well, she's just a girl that I met during lockdown, and she's not a musician or anything. And I asked her if she'd mind contributing to the album, and yeah, she did it. So, which is great.
Yeah, there's a couple moments there. I think at the end of some of these tracks, like Don't Meet Your Heroes, at the end of that, One Day the Angels, and this is, I guess, David Lynch remarking to you, and then she comes in, One day the angels
really love
will
that
return, and when you see the one that's meant to help you, you will weep for joy.
I really love that. I really love that moment on the entire album because, you know, there's some pretty heavy stuff that I'm talking about, but then I try and lighten it at times. And there's another one I think called, so I mean, that one, that Don't Meet Your Heroes one, you know, that's mostly true, but it's also about the gap between the art that people put out and what they're actually like. I don't know.
Oh, I love the part with, is it Dexter? Where his swore with his mechanical breath, hurry up. That's one of my favorite moments of the entire album.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Did you have Perfect Match in the US? I'm sure you did.
Yes. Some of these.
You're saying you had Dexter.
Dexter, yeah.
Dexter?
Mm-hmm. I didn't watch it as much as
did.
I think my brother watched more of Dexter than I did, but I am familiar.
I thought that Dexter was an Australian invention. I assumed Perfect Match was a bit like Wheel of Fortune, that it was, you know, originally from the States. But that's great. I'm glad that Dexter is worldwide. I didn't think he would be. Oh, that came about because I was looking through some old photos and I found an autographed photo of Dexter and the host, Greg Evans.
Mm-hmm.
And it brought back all of these memories. And that's why I wrote about it, because I just thought how important that photo was, and the fact that I've still got it and it's in a nice envelope, and just how much these things mean to you. You know, we can all get a bit jaded as we get older. It's a shame because children have this real, I guess that's why a lot of people have children, to remind themselves of the goodness in the world and the hero worship in a good way. So even if it's a robot with a grumpy robot.
What a wonderful point about children. I can see that with mine. I feel like if I didn't have children or didn't spend time with nieces and nephews, any of that, I would become very jaded.
Yeah, you'd end up like making thoughts like me.
Yeah, it's really it's a beautiful thing though in a child's eyes, when a child that's maybe not even in first grade and they see things. There's just so much they don't know. There's so many ugly things about the world they have no clue about, and their imaginations are just filled with wonder. That's a beautiful thing, Dan.
Yeah, before the cruel crushes them.
I know. The commentary on Living My Life Backwards. This might be, this is the funniest track by far. My kids are getting older, but I'm getting younger. Everybody, it doesn't matter where you live, and it might be you. If you're listening to this show, don't take offense, but if you're doing some of these things, you're dyeing your hair because the gray's overtaking the brown, or you're trying to drive around in that car that everyone will see you in and think, oh, look at that hot shot. But people do this stuff and they just try to beat time and try to keep the relevance going as long as they can. Tell me about that one. And was that fun to write? Is there some of the things that were what you were experiencing as well internally?
Yeah, bits and pieces. You know, sometimes you grab a little bit of a feeling and you amplify it to the extreme, and then that's an example of that. I mean, if I walked around like that character the whole time, you know, there's probably been periods where I've gone through that, but I don't feel like I'm that person now. I mean, everyone has to face that. You never really meet someone that's like says, I love getting old and experiencing the decline. I mean, you know, so, and you know, Western society has a huge obsession with youth, I think, and
Yes.
yeah, which is probably you know, quite problematic, and it's certainly a very much a modern invention. Yeah, the idea of being a wise person in 2026 seems to be completely irrelevant. In terms of, say, commercialization. Yeah, I don't think you get any points for being a wise person. No, nobody really cares.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're 20 and you got, you know, 10 million TikTok followers, we have to all sit down and listen to what you have to say. I mean, I've always found it interesting that we intently listen to what actors have to say. I've done a bit of acting this year and last year, or I've been on film sets, and you know, I'm not saying that they're not good people. I'm sure they are, but they're doing a craft the way that I'm doing a craft, the way that you are, the way that a builder builds a house. It's interesting that we hold these people up rather than, say, a scientist or a philosopher, which, you know, a couple of 100 years ago we would have totally hero worshipped them. So,
well, I agree with that, and I try to think about the biggest A-list celebrities, or even some of the well-known musicians that I like, and I just have to remind myself, this guy probably still misses some of the urinal when he goes into a restroom. He might wash the hands, he might not wash them thoroughly.
Yeah.
Maybe only use the hot water, but no soap. He might, have some very disgusting habits in private. And you just have to realize they're only as special as that, especially with actors, I think, because some of the movies become iconic and the scenes that they're famous for, and you just think that they're that person all the time. They're that intensely fascinating all the time.
I think it's the archetypes that we're attracted to. And you know, those sort of 70s, 80s actors that are iconic, Jack Nicholson's and Steve McQueen's, and you know, they were representing that strong Lee Marvin 70s, a strong male figure, and they're really attractive to look up to. But whether we should, you know, listen to what they have to say is another thing. I'm going to offend every actor that's ever walked the earth, by the way.
Hopefully.
Sorry, actors.
I always feel like actors versus musicians, like musicians might be able to take some of that heat. Not that the A-list actors are happening upon this episode, but if they are, sometimes I feel like actors have thinner skin than some musicians, or maybe it's...
Yeah, I've done a bit over the last couple of years. Have you seen War Machine? I was like a soldier in War Machine.
I have not seen that.
No, I haven't watched it either. But just being on set, and I was on another one recently, a mafia one that was a TV pilot that's probably going to come out later in the year. But it's such an insecure profession. I mean, it's the worst. You have to be chosen. You have to be nice to everybody. You have to be careful what you say. You have to. It's like, I mean, at least with music, I get to sort of go and play a show whenever I want. Whereas acting, you really are relying on people liking you. The people have to like you, and the talent thing, the talent's there, and the likability is there. So it must be very, very very hard on your self-esteem.
I do wonder.
I have a lot of empathy for him.
Yeah. I wonder how some people in that category, their earliest moments in the morning when they wake up and they're not surrounded by anybody yet, they really haven't gotten anything started, they've just opened their eyes. They've just lifted the head off the pillow. What is that feeling like when you are a megastar and you realize, oh, man, I got to do another day of this. I got to be on it.
It would be hard.
I can't get away from this. You know, I would love to run down to the corner store right now because I just want to go get that that item myself. I just need some more Q-tips. I just need some, but I have someone to do that for me. But I cannot imagine that feeling. You've always probably right there on the nightstand. There's your publicist probably has several emails that you need to be reading. Particularly
today with everyone with phones. I mean, one bad interaction with one fan and you're a goner. You're a goner.
Yeah.
Imagine that pressure. I think people either go two ways. They either sort of go, they just decide to act as soon as they leave their house and they put on the persona to get through, or they just do the Leonardo DiCaprio, pull the cap down. I'm not playing the game. Both are valid options.